get from this disease.
We have some places where you tie them up, beat them up into submission. I guess we all thought of that. How about somebody from there? What did you learn from the second session? Would you like to tell me?
How you are going to handle the client
Yeah.
stepwise and
Okay.
how he's going to react. Because there are a lot of different kind of people coming here.
Yes.
Each case is a unique case. Each personality is unique.
Yes.
How the counsel is going to handle them, what are the ways you are going to follow.
Okay.
And how you communicate with the family and take help from the family if he is admitted here.
Take help from the family?
Means information or
Okay. Okay. Okay.
like how is he, you need to know about the client also, right?
Right. But my session is on how to treat the families. So I don't know how helpful the families are going to be. My session, we talked in the first 3 sessions about treating the addict. I am not talking about the addict. I am going to talk about how to treat the families who don't drink or use drugs. So think about it. What is it I am going to do? Reza, where is my presentation? So this is a tickler. Okay, now what happens is when I go to a workshop and like I went to a Rotary Club in Colombo and they said, tell us something about addiction. And I said, I'm not talking about addiction, I'll talk about family disease. So they said, how are these two topics connected? We all know alcohol, we know drugs. What is this family thing? So they were very intrigued by the whole thing, and when we started talking about it, they said this aspect of the disease is a thing we never learned, we never heard. Now, as a follow-up to what I am going to say, usually in a family, what happens is when there is a person who is using, and we know that a lot of people around us who are using, the entire focus is on the addict, not the alcoholic. For example, if we just take an example of your company, as an example, I don't know anything about your company, and I say that your employee is drinking and he's missing work, he's coming late, he's missed deliveries, he's messed up with the logistics. So you would really say what a pain he is. Okay, एक बार chance दो, 2 बार chance दो, 3 बार, and finally say, yeah, look at it, get lost. But how
What
many?
is there won't be chances there? Suppose if a guy is driving a vehicle, yes, we don't have second choice.
I know. But it's very rarely we really think about the other aspect of addiction, which is the family. 50% of the problem. So here, as much as we would like things to be different, we realize that in order for us to do the job and do it very well, we have to also treat the families. Why will you see? Since we are running a little late, I'll try to be a little brief and I'll appreciate your participation. So we are looking at family disease, Kutumb Rog, what we call it, Kutumb Rogam. So in principle, we believe very strongly. And this theory, earlier, say about 20 years back, even the most leading BHAMs in the world were not bothered about looking at this aspect. Some of you may have known this presentation, so just bear with me. It's a refresher. So now increasingly people are realizing, कहते हैं ना, तुम जब what is it, जब सीधी उंगली से घी नहीं निकलती है तो उंगली टेढ़ी करनी पड़ती है. In fact, that is the surprising bit about addiction. If you head along tell somebody you have a problem and you need to get into treatment, the chances of that person coming to treatment is very less because of, you must have learned in the first session, the denial. Well, so you have to first treat the family in order to treat the addict. That is the most baffling thing about this disease of addiction. So we will talk about addiction as family disease, and It is a family disease. It's just reminding me again. Now, this slide you may have seen in the first presentation. I am using this slide again. I am not talking about the addict. I am principally talking about the family. How many of us who are family members or related to family members or friends of some addicts and alcoholics we would have seen, okay, let's assume the immediate family. We are talking about the body. How many times family members, especially wives and children, parents, go through, they neglect themselves, they start neglecting themselves, they go through anorexia, some of them develop serious hypertensions, some of them develop gastric ulcers, esophageal varices, some of them develop all kinds of stuff. What I'm trying to say is they can go through all the things what an addict goes through without drinking or using drugs. Because they suffer from a disease called codependence. The alcoholic or the addict is chasing the substance and the family is chasing the addict or the alcoholic. They're all the time thinking about him. Man, what is it doing? Mind. Mind, we talk about decision making, we talk about logical thinking, and we talk about memory. How many times I have seen children and wives, mothers say, भूल जाता है, हमें याद नहीं रहता है, we are not able to remember, I don't want to remember, or I'm feeling very stressed. So they also make decision mistakes, major mistakes with decision making. They also do those mistakes which an addict does, just purely by the way which is, because the addict is only thinking about how to get my next bottle, and the family is thinking how to get him into control. All the time. See, that's the chase. In A, there is a saying, the first man takes a drink takes a drink, and drink takes a man. So if you remove the word drink, so just compensate the word drink with a drinker. I know a lot of families who have died because of the stress, committed suicide, self-harmed themselves, or got into serious health issues as a result of being an addict or alcohol. Emotions, they also go through a lot of emotional up and down. The addict is happy, they are happy. When the addict is sad, they are sad. So they go through this ups and downs so much. It's like a roller coaster ride. And if somebody from outside says, stop, don't do it, then say, you don't understand. I understand him better. So you must not stop me. So they feel that by chasing the alcoholic and the addict, they are being good family members. Actually, he's running away from them and they are chasing him. So what is happening is they're both chasing something goalless activity. There is no goal. Value system, they also learn to lie, hide. Where is your father? Oh, he's gone to work, or he's gone to my grandmother's house. He's drunk lying in the office, in the house. Where's your father? Oh, he's gone to Jindal. How many of us have the guts to tell, okay, my loved one is in a rehab? Nobody will say. A lot of clients I get are from outside Hyderabad because they do not even people to know he's in rehab. But they don't mind letting everybody know that he's an alcoholic. That's the stigma, and they learn value system and spiritually. Spiritually is not religion. Spiritual means they stop feeling good about themselves. Family members are sad, sick, thus killing themselves. Oh, my friend is killing, what can I do? So very sad. See, any of these four areas are affected, relationships go for a toss, full toss. So one of the things which we do, which Dr. Ravi and I have addressed is, we try to work with the families. First we try to ease their emotions, we help them to forgive the addict and themselves, and then we try to let them come with healthier equations with the addict and alcohol. Of course, when the people go back after rehab and and the family continues to be very angry, sulky, too much, not very little bit, but too much, then it's not a conducive atmosphere for the addict to recover very well. So we try to bring them. So see, that's what I meant. I'm treating two people here. So members of a family are like a chain. I'm linked to him, he's linked to him, he's linked to him. So if I am the weak link, the entire chain becomes loose and the family disintegrates. And so what happens when there is stress? They will remove me and they will try to readjust. But it may not be a healthy readjustment. It may not be. I am a father of a family, I am an addict. What I have to do, I have to do. If he as a mother takes over my job, he will do neither his job as a mother very well, and he really cannot take on my job because it's too stressful and maybe he's not capable of it. So being a father and a mother is an extremely difficult proposition. Like I have had female clients where the father has been doing the job of a mother and a father, but we know that it's not possible. It's very disturbing. And the person closest to the addict usually needs a lot of help because they are at the receiving end. Yeah? The alcoholic or the addict is very obsessed about the drug, and the family is obsessed. And so I've already talked about this. These are the multiple victims of addiction. Wife, parents, children, siblings, society, and somebody said grandparents to me the other day. Grandparents, nephews, nieces, when you're living in a joint family, I see that people get affected. And when I use the word society, every other day you hear drunk driver runs amok, he runs over. I think 3-4 days back, there was an incident, I don't know where it was, where another Salman Khan type of incident happened, where the car went over 5 pavement sleepers. So it's a big risk. I know of doctors who have messed up surgeries after being on a drug, and doctors, I get a lot of doctors as patients, and they're very difficult people. And imagine you being flying in a plane and the pilot is drunk, or going into a surgery when the doctor is using. I think 3 times, not twice, but it is that serious a problem. And primarily these are the people who struggle, try to hide, try to minimize. They also get distorted, they also start looking at other people for the emotions which they didn't get from the addict. And they make a lot of mistakes. I want to be like my father, but my father is an alcoholic. But I really love him. So whether I like it or not, I don't like the way he is. But when I try to get into relationships, I will find somebody who's like him. Very strange. Very strange. That's a codependency. Instead of running away from somebody who remotely looks like him or behaves like him, I want to get into a relationship with a guy who is like him. This is a self-defeating behavior which happens and very common. Or when I go into a new family, I am not going to trust my husband because I feel that what if he turns out like my father? What? So for it interferes with my relationship with my family. Problems increase. As the addiction increases, the family starts isolating themselves. You go into depression. Some depression is subclinical, some is clinical, which requires treatment. In fact, a lot of my patients, their families, we have to recommend them to go into treatment themselves because we found them to be extremely anxious or depressed, clinical depression. So, emotional sickness, physical sickness, suicidal tendencies, and breakup. This is all what they normally do. This is their way to cope up with an alcoholic. Scream, yell, cry, beg, plead, seen this. This is so very common. And there's a lot of guilt in these families. What have I done to make my son or my father or my husband the way he is? So what happens is they carry a lot of guilt which is not their doing at all. It's nothing to do with them. But then we as a family always want to support and always want to take more responsibility. It's not a European country where we throw our children out at the age of 16, we protect them. So that's our Indian culture. We like to be more together. So the guilt is a major part. You kick yourself for something you have not done. There's a grief, there's a great sense of loss in families. Loss of prestige, family ties, dignity. And look, if you are my wife, Chari, her husband drinks so much, poor her. And that doesn't make me happy. That kind of sympathy makes me wild. इसका बेटा तो देखो, इसका बेटा तो शराबी है, वो एडिक्ट है, वो स्कूल भी नहीं जाता, कॉलेज भी नहीं जाता, काम पे भी नहीं जाता. So when you hear this, because we all have self-esteem issues which are linked to our family members. We somewhere if something good happens in your family, we are very proud. I'm very proud is my son and he's doing very well. So that pride. But if constantly I get negative feedback about my children, or my husband, or my uncle, or my father, that leads to a whole lot of personal dignity and self-esteem issues. I don't feel good about myself. And irony is when I don't feel good about myself, I do exactly indulge in those behaviors which have made me like this today. That's why I say it's codependence. It's linked. Loss of friends. I stopped going to parties, get-togethers. Loss of finances and very low self-worth. There's a lot of anger. Alcoholic drinks and comes in the night, or the addict uses and comes. If you are lucky enough to meet them before you sleep, then they will be screaming, shouting, making a fool of themselves, and you are quietly sitting hoping that at least he will drink, eat, sleep. Next day morning is your turn and you do you go on, scold them. That's the time the alcoholic will be quiet. He also knows after some time they will shut up and I can go back to my own ways. So this is what happens, and this continued anger becomes resentment. That's why the family also needs to be in therapy. When we use the word rehabilitation, this is not a de-addiction center, this is a rehab center. That means everything has to come back into a healthier perspective. The family and the addict. Big challenge. It's possible when the family cooperates. Yeah. Humiliation, a lot of embarrassment, low self-esteem, and deep shame. There's a lot of fear. Fear of future. What will happen if my son doesn't earn? What will happen if my father doesn't go to work? What will happen? Will anybody come and marry me? If they come to know that my father is an alcoholic, what will happen now? Do you think I will settle down? And what if my in-laws come to know that my father is an alcoholic? My God, so what do I do? There is a lot of fear. And also, what if he dies? Okay, I'm angry with him, but what if he dies? I will lose the opportunity to even know my father. So, it's a very sad thing all the time. And they don't have the drug or the alcohol to numb their feelings. There's a lot of communication breakdowns, lack of care and share. And just like the alcoholic and the addict, they deny they have a problem. As the family's problem increases, they also start saying that, "Nahi, itna bura nahi hai. I think I can handle him with love and affection. I think he's missing his mom, that's why. I think his wife is not a good woman. I think we should change his wife. Or we should, look at her, since she has come, he's behaving so oddly. All his friends are very bad. These fellows, they have caused the problem to my son." Denial. Not realizing that nobody forced your son to drink all these drugs. Or daughter. Forms of denial, you've seen it in the other presentation, I'm sure, and this is what the family runs. Yes, he drinks, but it's not so bad. Blaming, as I said, he's responsible for his drinking. Rationalizing, you don't know what advertising is it like. Do you know what theatre is like? I work in the theatre, without drink I can't perform on the stage. And you have to understand that. Advertising, do you know, creativity, it doesn't work unless you drink. Marketing party, what are you talking? No alcohol. Nobody will come for our party. You know, when I have events for doctors, I cannot have dinner because they always want dinner and cocktails. I can never serve cocktails. So all this rationalizing, intellectualization. I am a doctor. I know how to handle it. Doctors are very difficult patients because they are so used to playing God for such a long time. I am a doctor. I am like God. I am going to save your life. And today you are telling me I have a problem? My God, my Himalayan ego will never let me do it. भगवान के ऊपर कोई उंगली उठा सकता है? नहीं उठा सकता है. मैं डॉक्टर हूँ, मैं साइंटिस्ट हूँ, मैं प्रीस्ट हूँ. I inquire priests also drink. They are humans. They can also fall sick. Judges and lawyers and journalists who think they are God. And you're all scared of them. Be nice to them, otherwise they will paint you in the red. So this is intellectualization. Diverting. How is your wife doing nowadays? We'll talk about that later. Let's talk about your son. College ho gaya? Diverting. Not talking about it. Hostility. Who the hell are you to ask me these questions? You look into your family. Don't ask me about my son or my husband or my employee or whatever. Silence. Keep asking the family members. They don't want to answer. See, I'm just showing you this slide because the family goes through a similar roller coaster without drugs or alcohol. They are going through the same problem. Now this chart you may have seen. When the alcohol, have you seen this chart? Oh, I won't waste your time. Now, addiction is a disease, it's not a moral weakness. We have to understand this because though under the effect of addiction, they may have done immoral things. They may have done things which are not right. But addiction by itself is not a moral disease. It is a pure sickness of the body and brain. It's an OCD, it's not obsessive compulsive disorder, where you think about it all the time and you are compelled to use it. But the consequences of addiction is there may be morality. मैं पी के आके रविंद्र को मार दिया हूँ तुम्हें मोरल है माफ करो उसको. I can't. So there is a thing important. And this is a process, not an event. Now, I am ending this presentation with a note. And the note is that there are two things we do to help the families here. One, of course, is counseling and a lot of literature. The other thing is that there is a self-help program like AA for families called Al-Anon, Nar-Anon. Al-Anon is the most common one, where the families go and sit and talk and share their experience and strength and hope, and it's anonymous. And I don't have to identify myself by my own name. So I go and I talk to them about it. I deal with myself. I don't talk about the alcohol. I tell how difficult it is. Now, I, in my personal capacity as a therapist for so many years, I still feel handling the families is more tough for me than the addict or the alcoholic. Trust me. Because the alcoholic's disease is obvious. But the family's resistance is not obvious. I have a tough time. Because they want us to run miracles without trying to understand. I don't blame them because our society doesn't prepare us. See, if you have diabetes and I am with you, you will go and get treatment. I will be only your support system. But if you have an addiction problem, I am forced to be part of the treatment process also. This is that threatening medicines. So before I offer to answer questions, I want to also say that there is a literature on sale outside on the reception table which talks about different things I have said, and you are all welcome to take what you want and indulge whatever it is. It's a small price. And so if you have any questions, I would welcome them. Doing the session after lunch is a very big challenge for me. I know. So, questions? All understood or nil understood? And before I leave this forum and let the next speaker, I think you are taking the next one, and this is an activity. I also want to say that next month we are doing a workshop on ADD and ADHD and mindfulness. So anybody who is interested to attend these workshops, please leave your contact details at the reception and we will send you the mailers. Nowadays it's a big challenge. ADD and ADHD is a new thing on the block. Not that it wasn't there earlier, but we see a lot of adult children, adults also with ADD, attention deficit, and ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive syndrome also. So if anybody is interested, and you can also spread word around and we welcome more participation. Okay? Thank you for being a very good and slightly sleepy audience.